Hello and welcome. Today we are going to discuss Trump-Zelenskyy meeting that took place a couple of days ago. And I just found out today during a conversation with my mom over the phone. She said that everyone is talking about that conversation, so I'm not really up to date with the news. But anyways, let's see what planets in the sky say about this very event. And just a brief break. If you want a consultation, link below with my WhatsApp, and just send me a text message and we'll set up a consultation if you wish to. But anyways, let's get back to our meeting. So let me show you what we had that was playing out in the stars, in astrology, in the sky at that very time. So first of all, we have to have a look at this very aspect. So we had a conjunction of Jupiter, planet of expansion and magnification, that was with the ascendant, the local ascendant in Washington DC on the 28th of February 2025 in Gemini, sign responsible for communication. So everyone in the world learned about this conversation. This conversation was very vivid, and this aspect simply signifies that something that happened at that very time can get worldwide recognition. So this is what actually happened. That everyone, all the media all over the world spoke about this event. Let's have a look at another aspect, and this is the conjunction of Moon with Saturn that wasn't exact at the beginning of the meeting, and then we had a triple conjunction, loose, not as close as we will have Moon and Saturn a couple of hours later at the end of the Mr. Trump's with Mr. Zelenskyy conversation. But we had Mercury, the planet responsible for general intellect and communication, and sort of talks. And we had here Jupiter in the sign of Gemini on the ascendant of the local space-time. So, and these conjunctions, so these are emotions, Moon, and Saturn, reality. So they met emotions of Mr. Zelenskyy with the hard reality of the world. But everything was happening anyways in the sign of Pisces, and sign of Pisces is responsible for dreams and intuition, and everything that Neptune is associated with, because Neptune is the ruler of that sign. So we have this watery theme of uncertainty, things difficult to understand, and things that are not only dreamy, but intuitive and foggy. So we had very, very many planets in this sign during this conversation and in the period that we have right now in the world. And apart from that, we had this second conjunction, as I said, that's Neptune, that is very strong in Pisces, even though at the end of the sign, North Node, so casting this conjunction into the future somehow, and Mercury responsible for communication. So that's why this meeting was so important. And the question is, who actually gained from this meeting? Who won? Who lost? So this is the horoscope at the very end of the meeting, when Saturn and Moon conjuncted Medium Celi, the highest point in the sky of the local space-time. So this is again what I said just a second before. The emotions, Moon, met hardcore reality. And who's the winner of this meeting? In my less than humble opinion, none of the personnel involved in the meeting. So not the American government, not the Ukrainian government is the winning of this meeting, but unless, because we have to remember that everything was going on in this sign of Pisces. This very conjunction of Moon and Saturn got extra energy from Mars in Cancer that would be in a way responsible for some sort of aggressive but family related, so nationalistic energy powers this conjunction of emotions meeting reality, then again in very emotional sign with cumulation of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 astrological indicators, or even 8 if you calculate the midheaven of the local space-time. So if the information that we received from media is real, it probably means that none of the people involved in this peace talk and agreement between Ukraine and US was actually winner, but third parties usually win in such constellation. So that would be Russia, China, maybe in a way European Union, but in my opinion European Union is going to experience quite vivid periods of time, but we'll talk about it in the future videos that I hope I will make before April, because the end of March and beginning of April is going to be extremely interesting. So getting back to this conversation, it all started when we had the emotional moon approaching Saturn in the 10th sector responsible for career. So I would say that Mr. Zelenskyy was the moon, the emotions that wants to fight for his land and protect it. And then they meet these hardcore reality represented by Saturn. And he has these emotions of patriotic emotions, family related, so the nationalistic emotions came with him, with his personal emotions, and they met hardcore reality, United States, that wants the rights to exploit Ukraine as much as possible for providing peace with Russia. And these talks, as far as I understand, failed so far. They were casted thanks to the Jupiter all over the world, thanks to the Jupiter in Gemini touching the ascendant of this very meeting, and the talks failed. How is it going to play out? I think that this is just the beginning of a number of events that we are going to experience both in March, but March still is going to be slow and not as dramatic as April and the months to follow and years to follow. But again, remember that everything happened in Pisces with this very loose but still conjunction of these planets in Pisces. And we have here Neptune, the slowest moving planet that had its job to do during its travel through Pisces, and Neptune is going to leave Pisces and enter Aquarius at the very end of March, and this is when watery energy will meet fire. And usually when you talk about watery energy, so Pisces, like here, related with dreams, but as well with traumas that you haven't worked with yet, that you still have them somewhere in your mind, in your body, and they are working against you. But this watery energy, if we were to compare it to a pipework at home, so if you have a leak, it is very difficult to detect It usually comes out as a mold on your wall before you detect it, unless it's massive. And with fire, it's usually different. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can even hear it when it's happening. So these two different energies are going to start interacting at the end of March and beginning of February. And beginning of April, I'm sorry. So, and the next point, similar, that we are going to have is the lunar eclipse that we are going to have in the middle of the month. And shortly before that eclipse, we are going to have Sun that will, I will just get to the horoscope with no marks on them. So the next thing is going to be that the Sun is going to join Saturn shortly before the opposition that is going to happen in Virgo on the other side of the horoscope. So we will have Sun here and our Moon is going to be here, and this setting is going to be fueled by Uranus that is going to sextile Sun and trine Moon. So that is going to be interesting event as well, but I am shooting a video about it hopefully today, so you should get it in a couple of days before the lunar eclipse that is going to happen later this month. But again, this is going to show when Sun touches Saturn in Pisces. Again, ego, vitality, basic astrological energy will meet hardcore reality of the world. And again, as I said, if this conversation was not staged, if it was not a theater in a way played by the politicians, it means that both sides involved in the talks were the losers. But most importantly, it can indicate that, as I said in one of my videos about the future of United States, this is United States that has a problem and does not have enough energy and momentum anymore to resolve local conflicts like this one between Ukraine and Russia. And technically speaking, it's not a conflict between Ukraine and Russia, but between NATO and Russia. Because if it was just Ukraine fighting, I would say that they would fall within 24 to 48 hours. And it didn't happen from a very simple reason, that there is lots of Western technology. There was and is involved in the conflict. And the whole might of NATO and United States was involved in the some sort of uprising that started in 2013 in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Spring. And so that was fueled with American money. That was fueled with American equipment and Western equipment in general. So if Russia was fighting only Ukraine, I would say that this conflict would have ended within 48 hours, 3 years ago. But it isn't. So the question, there are two questions. Because right now, after this conversation from the horoscope, it seems that both sides are losing and Russia and China is winning. And the interesting thing is that I would assume that we are going to have continuation of this conversation or of this peace talks in the following days, because we are going to have conjunction of retrograding Venus with Mercury that was here in conjunction with Neptune at the end of Pisces, and we are going to have it shortly before the Sun meeting Saturn in Pisces again. So we will have some sort of I will assume peace talks, and then we are going to see the hardcore reality meeting the basic energy. So something might go wrong, and then we are going to have the eclipse. So even though March is not going to be as fast as moving us forward as April, I would expect interesting events happening. Anyways, so I will cover that in the next video regarding the lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. That's going to be yet another video that will happen at the very end of the month. And then Neptune is going to enter Aries at the end of the month. So that should be interesting. And I wasn't showing you what I wanted to show you, and I wanted to show you conjunctions again. So interesting period of time. Remember to, if we are experiencing difficult times, just keep going forward to whatever you can to comfort yourself, or just do the best you can. And we are going to have very, very challenging times ahead. This year, as I said before, this year is not a pivotal year. The pivotal year was 2020, when we had a meeting of Pluto, Jupiter. So Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn met in Capricorn. That was, 2019, 2020, 2021. Crazy times, So that was the pivotal point, where we had the apex point of deep state and governments showing how powerful they are. I do not expect a repeat of this type of things don't repeat, never in the history, but they do rhyme. Months ahead are going to be exceptional. They are going to be challenging, sometimes difficult. It depends on your birth chart and the birth chart of your country. Keep smiling, keep moving forward, and see you in the next video. Hopefully all be good. Yeah. So see you next time. Bye bye.